Hey, my name's Zach Vokey, and this is my version of a Telecaster. This guitar was built for Josh Winchell out in Florida, and Josh originally approached me to see if I could help him build kind of his dream Telecaster. And we were able to build a guitar that really is totally custom from the ground up. And so this is, in terms of its body style, and by that I mean the actual dimensions of this guitar, this is more of your 50s Tele. And so what makes the 50s Tele versus, like your 70s Tele versus other things, it's less about the overall outline of the guitar and more to do with the neck pocket and the neck and that kind of thing. And so we've got standard, Tele style headstock on here. This neck is a one-piece neck, and basically what that means is I was able to take a blank of wood and cut the fretboard component off of the same piece. And so what that allowed me to do is retain all of the flaming that you see on this neck. And so that way there's no skunk stripe on the back, there's no actual area where you could see that there's a truss rod made. And then of course there's a very subtle glue seam from where I glued it back, but otherwise it's almost undetectable. And then all of the flaming from the neck gets to continue around to the front of the fretboard. And so it feels like it's all just one piece, because it used to be. As far as under the hood there, we do have a truss rod that is a dual action truss rod, so lots of longevity to this. This is Eastern hard maple, and so this is a very stable wood. It's being roasted, so that's what gives it that beautiful kind of orange burnish color to it. And then as well, it's a high figure neck, and so you've got all that figuring on it, so it's a really gorgeous piece. We went with a Satin Nitro finish on this neck, and so it feels really nice in the hands. It's not really sticky in any way. It glides quite nicely, but then you still get that really nice nitro protection out of the deal. As well, over time, that'll check and crack and do all the cool things that nitro does, and so I'm really excited about that. We went with a Tusq nut. The Tusq material is really great when you're using a vibrato or tremolo style bridge, and so I'm glad that we ended up with that, because over time it just helps to continue to keep lubricity and that kind of thing if you don't quite get there between string changes and that kind of stuff. And so big fan that we went with that. I'm using Gotoh locking tuners on this right side up headstock. Really happy with that. Obviously we've got my logo on there. We got just plain black dot inlay, so really happy with that. We've got that on the front and then also on the sides for your side marker inlay. And then as well, we have medium nickel silver frets, very comfy fret wire. This is pretty much standard on all modern Fenders at this point. So it's just really friendly overall, just feels pretty familiar. And then of course, this is a standard C neck profile, and just overall super comfy. The neck is literally a dimensional copy of a full Telecaster. So really happy with that. Moving on to the body itself, we have an Arctic white nitrocellulose finish on this with nitrocellulose clear gloss on top, and so really beautiful color on this instrument. It's not like a pure white, but what's really nice about it is over time it'll age and do all the things that you hope that it would do, and against the roasted maple, I find it looks very white. Of course, if you hold it against stark white, it wouldn't look white. It would have an amber tone to it because of that clear that's on top of there. As well, Arctic white, a lot of people think it's like pure white, and in some cases on like a polyurethane finish it is, but I have yet to see a really, really super pure white Arctic white in nitro. And so in any case, it's like a subtle thing that I really like. Let's talk about the Pickguard. And so obviously we'll get to the humbuckers, we'll talk about those, but you can see it's a dual humbucker guitar, and the shape of the Pickguard is fully custom. So I built this in my shop in conjunction working with Josh on this. And so we went with more of the parchment color vintage pearl guard, just so that it wouldn't look super purple in contrast to the more subdued white on the body. And so we actually blended two different styles of Fender Pickguard together. So we went with a 72 Deluxe style, which you can kind of see a little bit of that line up here to retain a little bit of that Fender flavor, as well as a thin line guard. So you have your 72 Deluxe guard and then your thin line guard. And so that thin line guard kind of comes in more with the control layout down here. And so overall, it retains a lot of its Fender roots. A lot of it's a really good nod in the direction of like a proper Fender, and you know, what that could have looked like if it came out of the Corona factory. You know, we went with a few subtle details here as well. Chrome hardware throughout, flat top barrel knobs, of course. We went with a switch tip that was also chrome. And so that looks really cool. I find that the arrangement of these controls is very nice. It's very favorable. This is a three-way switch, obviously going to work the way that three-way switch would work on a humbucking guitar. We have 500K CTS pots in here, the Imperial sizing, really great pots. Very happy with that. We've fully shielded the inside here. Josh has expressed to me that there's been a lot of feedback in his context. He plays in a house of worship, and so he's had a lot of strange hums and feedback and things, so he wanted a fully shielded cavity, and so the underneath of this guard is shielded, as well as the entirety of the cavity itself. And so that actually looks really pretty too when you pull it off and look underneath. 0.22 UF microfarads orange drop cap. It's a very standard cap, and just, I mean, it works. The Trem system that we're using is the Duesenberg / Gotoh diamond Trem system. I'm a big fan of these Trems. I find they have a ton of control. They are really easy to get along with. I love the adjustability of the arm. That is always the biggest thing for me when it comes to top mount Bigsby style, tremolo, vibrato systems, what have you. I really love how these work. I find tuning stability is awesome. And then it's really great that you get right out of the box the string through bar on them. Makes string changes much more of a breeze. We have a Tonepros roller bridge here. Really classic piece of hardware. Very functional, works great, helps with tuning stability, and in this guitar's case, works very, very well. So we have a 12-degree radius here, and so what that means is the radius of the bridge matches the radius of the neck, and this is a 12-degree. Older Teles, they would have been 7 1/4, later 9 1/2, some are 9 1/2 today. There's a bunch of reissue 7 1/4s and stuff. But we went with 12 to make this guitar feel really comfortable, work with the roller bridge, and overall it feels really great. It's still 25.5-inch scale length, so the entire form factor and package of the Tele still feels really approachable and similar, and so really happy with how that turned out. The pickups are Fralins, and they are awesome. They are the Modern Bridge and Pure Neck. Very, very great pickup combination tonally. They matched very well. I think the first time I heard of that particular pickup combination was from Kenyon. I forget what guitar he has it in, or which ones he's experimented with. He's experimented with many, but it's a great combination. A lot of people use it, especially in the context for worship. It's just all three sounds are very usable at all times. And so really happy with that. Those choices make this guitar sound really good. Very balanced sounding guitar, very consistent sounding guitar. I would say overall, this thing does not deliver any type of unwanted surprise. It feels really comfy and it plays really well. And then tonally, it's just useful in pretty much all positions. So moving on to the back, obviously we have our beautiful flamed neck here, very nice. You will notice we have a tummy carve, which is really comfy, obviously, especially for some of us that have a little tummy. Josh is in way better shape than me, but this is still a very comfy feature. I guess I should mention before we go too far, there is a forearm contour here as well, so it feels really comfy to play. Those are some modern features that feel really great. And then as well, probably the most modern feature of all the features would be that we have a contour here for the heel block. And so the heel block, the entire plane of it is actually sunk in and then spun around here. And so that's really cool because what that allows is for just a little bit more upper front access. Instead of just shaving the heel, you get a little bit more access overall, so you can really come around the front end of that neck, and it feels a lot more comfy, and therefore Doesn't feel like quite such a brick in your hand right there on the heel. We went with a pure tone multi-contact jack. They're very crisp feeling jacks. They don't go anywhere. They don't loosen up nearly as much over time, and so they feel really good. A little harder going in overall, but overall like a super reliable output jack. One thing I'll mention is the process we went through to design. Obviously, we traded a lot of images on the front end of the build, but I actually modeled this entire guitar for Josh inside of Fusion. So Fusion is the program that I use to do all of my 3D modeling and then any of my computer-assisted machining later in the build process. And what's great about that is somebody can ask me, hey, what would it look like with a painted headstock? Or what would it look like with these pickups or that pickguard color or a different type of fretboard on top and or different inlay or anything like a visual option. And so it's really great to be able to take something like this, a fully modeled instrument, which takes time, and then show them and demonstrate to them the actual product and what it'll look like in a digital space. It's really cool. I was able to share a link with him, and he was able to actually see that and flip it all around and like look at it from a distance. He lives in Florida. I live up here in the snowy Rocky Mountains of Alberta. And so really cool feature that we were able to like work through those details on a custom build like this. Kind of neat. Yeah, a lot of front end work on that, but really happy that I can give that level of attention to detail. You know, for example, these carves, we were able to talk about all of them ahead of actually committing them to build. Often, you know, you're doing that by hand and you have to fine tune everything. It can be really painful just to send pictures back and forth. But he was actually able to take the entire instrument in a 3D space and just look at it from whatever angle he wanted to, right inside of his phone browser. So this has a compressor on it right now, so. That's the other thing I really love is just how stable it is tuning wise. Like, it's just gorgeous. It's just super nice. Yeah, it's awesome. One of the things that I really appreciate about this whole setup, the spacing of this tremolo system, like well, we call it the Duesenberg, like the diamond trem system, so we'll call it a tremolo. I just love the break angle right now that we have over top of the tunematic bridge here. It's really comfortable. Often, Things get a little wonky in a Fender package when you have the two-pneumatic. I've learned a lot about that this year with my own builds. But we got it just right on this one, and so everything feels really good. Like the pickups don't feel like kind of like on an SG, how sometimes they can feel like they really stick out of the body. Pickups feel like they're right in the happy spot. And then I'll mention it here too. Like we went with fender spacing on in terms of like how far apart these two humbuckers are, just to retain a lot of the design lines and stuff. It's perfect for a guy like me because I tend to do, not like I'm some kind of great guitar player here. I build pretty great guitars, but I don't play them that great. Bear with me. But the thing that I like to do the most, and it's a bad habit, is I love being able to use like an anchor point for my pinky, especially if I'm going to do any type of like hybrid picking or anything like that, where I'm using my ring finger and middle finger to do rolling chords and stuff. It's just everything about the geometry of this guitar and this package just feels really good. It feels really natural. The pick strike is just far enough outside of the humbucker that you don't feel like you're hitting over top of it in any way. It doesn't feel like it's in the way. It feels like it's right in the middle where it needs to be. And so just everything about it feels really, really good. You know, I should probably stop there because I'm getting out of actually like exploring the guitar and just into really enjoying it. And that's not fair because this isn't my guitar. This is Josh's guitar. And so I don't want to put any of my mojo that isn't already on here on this guitar or wear out the strings or anything. So I'm gonna finish it there. I'll give some closing thoughts. Really excited about just the build quality of this guitar. Like I feel like like as you would, each build continues to like climb in its quality. But this one's special to me because I've had a really hard year with just like had a lot of like just like feedback and all different angles, and just like none of it's bad, none of it's like, you know, like soul crushing, but you can let it get soul crushing, and the trick is to not let it get soul crushing, but to let it like feed the right parts of you and not to get bitter about it. And so I think for me, this guitar, it kind of represents a bit of a confidence boost for me, knowing that I was able to like take this whole thing and just build it exactly to Josh's specs, and that it turns out to be just so kick-ass. It brings me a lot of joy. And yeah, I really think he's gonna love it. I hope that he cherishes this guitar, for the rest of his life. I hope that he wears the crap out of it. I hope to see it one day with no frets left on it and just battle scars. And I hope that I can I would really love to see this guitar just get loved on and worn in. So yeah, really happy with this guitar, really proud of myself for completing it like this, and really excited for Josh to get this next week. It's gonna be so cool. So I don't have much else. If you want a guitar like this, I would love to partner with you and build one. You can reach me on all of the different social platforms. I'm on Instagram lots. I do have a Facebook page that I'm growing. I'm on YouTube, probably where you're watching this. You can hit me out with a DM. You go to my website at vokeguitars.com, and I would love to build you something like this. And if you want something just like this, well, you're in luck. I've already done it once. If you have something else in mind, just feel free to reach out, and I would love to help you on your custom guitar journey. That's it for me. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the flip.